Vision.
At least 2 people were killed during the third day of protests against Iran's iron-fisted regime and poor living conditions, according to reports. Demonstrators throughout the nation have called for the removal of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the Middle Eastern nation's supreme leader since 1989. They have also chanted death to Rouhani in reference to Iran President Hassan Rouhani, who earlier this year won a second term in office. In response to the uprisings, the fiercest in Iran since 2009, the nation's Revolutionary Guard has vowed protesters will be met with an iron fist should the rallies carry on, the BBC reports. That apparently began with shutting down Instagram as well as messaging app Telegram, according to Iran's state-run TV network. Iranian authorities are blocking access to Telegram for the majority of Iranians after our public refusal to shut down peacefully protesting channels, the app CEO, Pavel Durov, tweeted Sunday. Telegram is a popular form of messaging in Iran, and it's how many in the nation learned of the demonstrations. Iranian officials reportedly shuttered a Telegram channel they said was prompting violence. The person who ran the channel said that wasn't the case. At least 2 people were killed during a protest in the western Loristan province, a semi-official Iran news agency reported. They reportedly died in Dorat, where officials said the protesters were actually killed by extremist Sunni Muslims and foreign governments. The gathering was to be ended peacefully, but due to the presence of the agitators, unfortunately, this happened, said Habibullah Kahesteper, the deputy head of security in Loristan, who reiterated security forces didn't shoot the ralliers. The BBC, citing correspondents, said the statement implied Saudi Arabia was behind the killings. Iran's Islamic Republic has been locked in a proxy war with Saudi Arabia for more than 6 years, backing warring forces in Syria, Yemen, and Nigeria. President Trump on Sunday tweeted that the people are finally getting wise as to how their money and wealth is being stolen and squandered on terrorism. Looks like they will not take it any longer. The USA is watching very closely for human rights violations. A day earlier he tweeted 2 videos from his September speech before the United Nations, in which he condemned Iran's long-reviled regime. The recent bout of demonstrations are the fiercest in Iran since the Green Movement, which began in June 2009 and carried on for nearly 8 months. Those rallies, considered the largest since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, were over alleged electoral fraud after the re-election of then-President Mohammad Ahmadinejad. This time, demonstrators first took to the street in Mashhad, Iran's second-largest city, to protest the subpar economic conditions for average citizens. Despite a small bump after the 2015 nuclear deal that saw some sanctions against Iran raised, the nation's unemployment rate is still over a staggering 10%, and basic foods like eggs remain costly. The ire over this quickly spread to major cities including Tehran, the nation's capital. State television began acknowledging the protests on Saturday, noting 50 people had been arrested since the rallies began 2 days earlier. Another 80 were reportedly arrested in Arak, a town about 175 miles south of Tehran. Demonstrators also shouted the name Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran who fled during the Islamist revolution in 1979 and later died in Egypt.